Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Akira and this is my corner, and if you're not, then welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing a really simple video. It is my everyday makeup routine, and this is the makeup that I usually use to work. And for someone like me who actually goes to work quite early, I think that this makeup is probably something that throughout the years I've learned that this is just the best and the quickest makeup for me to do. A lot of people might not use this much makeup for every day. A lot of people might want to use more makeup for every day, but for me this is what works best. So please don't come at me saying I have so many steps in my makeup routine and whatever. Like, this is just what works best for me personally. So yeah, if you do want to see how I achieve this face for everyday makeup, then please keep watching. I've already filled in my brows, and if you do want to see how I fill in my brows, the link to that video I will put in my bio. I have a whole brow routine explaining how I do my brows because I do get a lot of questions on it. But for my face, the first product that I use is the Kiki Beauty Makeup Ready Face Primer. This primer actually I think I've used for the past year or so, and I honestly, actually more than a year, I honestly think it's such a nice primer. It's quite a moisturizing primer, I would say. It has like quite a silky effect to the skin, and it actually really like primes my skin properly. It gives me like a quite nice even surface to the skin. Sometimes I like using this primer even if I'm not using makeup, because it kind of just evens out my skin. I just really love this primer. Like, most times I will use this primer for my skin. I will get into how I use this primer if I want to use a foundation for my everyday makeup, but whew, this pimple is so intense, guys. Like, wow. But when it comes to everyday, I usually just put one pump of this on my skin. For concealer, for my everyday makeup, I use the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer, and this is in the shade 40 Caramel. Now, this concealer I think is a really good concealer for every day, and I usually just use it on my under eyes, and I just put it on like right there underneath my eyes. And I also use this as my eyeshadow like lid primer as well, because my lids are quite dark, so I literally just like put the concealer on my under eyes and then on my lids as well. And then you'll notice that once I start blending out my concealer, I kind of blend it onto my cheeks as well, because that is where I usually get most of my breakouts. So I blend this concealer out with my finger because I feel like it just gives a better effect to the skin. And I don't think it's a very high coverage concealer, so I think that this is the best way to blend it out, to be honest. So you see when I'm blending the concealer, like I'm not just blending it underneath my eyes, like I'm moving it towards my scarring, where I just need like a little bit more coverage, just to make sure that, okay, like the places that I want to be covered are covered. And I'm gonna blend out the other eye as well. Exact same thing, where I'm just blending out the concealer and also putting it a bit down if I have any scarring or breakouts on the bottom part of my face. Sometimes I put a little bit on my nose if my nose is like a bit red, but most times I just leave it. I also bring down some of the concealer to my chin area if I have any breakouts here as well. And if I have any extra concealer, I just bring it there. Next up, I'm going to set my face, and I'm using my Yardley Absolute Translucent Setting Powder. I think that this setting powder is really great. Well, for me especially, I feel like it kind of blurs out your skin, and I usually use it underneath my eyes to set all the concealer first. And I just use a fluffy brush for this because I actually don't want it to pack on a lot of product, so I just wanted to give like an overall blurry effect. Because my nose is oily, I do specifically put powder on my nose, as well as like along my chin and my laugh lines, because this for me is where I do get oily. And then I do put some on my forehead as well, because that is another spot where my oiliness attacks. Moving on to bronzer, I love using the NYX matte bronzer. I find that this works really well with my skin tone, but you can use whichever bronzer you feel comfortable using. I honestly find that this just looks really good with my skin. And And I started using this new bronzer. I did speak about it last year, where it kind of like diffuses the bronzer product on my cheeks. And yeah, I just bronze my cheekbones as well as my forehead. Big forehead gang. Okay, so moving on to blush, I'm going to be using the Avon blush in the shade Russet. Now, I think I change my blushes according to season. Like, I would use like a more pink blush in the summer and a more like warm tone blush in the like cooler months. But if you do want to use, like, this is like a life hack, if you do want to use a blush and you don't want to put a highlight on top, then I will say use a blush with like a sheer tone in it. I really like the Essence Metal Chrome blush in Beauty and the Bronze, but I do have a lot of texture on my skin right now, so that's why I haven't been using it as of late. But if you do want to actually use something that will give you like a fake highlighter effect, then I think that that blush in particular is really good for my skin tone. So I really like that blush because it gives like your skin a nice like healthy glow from within. But because my skin is going through a lot right now, I'm using a blush with a more matte effect. So yeah, I'm just applying that to my cheeks and also just drag it a bit back to kind of like meet where the bronzer is. So when it comes to like my everyday makeup, to be honest, all I do is I take my bronzer and I use that as my eyeshadow. So I literally just take a fluffy brush like this and I just put bronzer in my crease, and I usually just blend it out into my crease. I will say that if I want to do like something a bit different, then I'll just take like a different warm tone shadow, if it's like an orangey tone or like a coral tone, and then I just use that shade in my crease instead. Or if I do want to change it up as well, then I'll just do like a normal simple liner. I do try to keep it as simple as possible because obviously like I need to go to work, so I just use some bronzer in the crease usually. Like if you can see the difference between this eye and that eye, this looks a lot more defined and a lot more awake. And yeah, a little bit of bronzer does help actually. And it doesn't take that long to just put like a little bit in the crease and then carry on with the next step. This is actually it. Like, this is my entire face routine. I will obviously add lipstick and mascara, but if I do want to add like anything extra to my face, I do add a highlighter sometimes, depending on if I'm going somewhere after work or something. Sometimes I do add a highlight on my cheeks just to make my skin look a bit nicer. Something else that I do if I do want to have like a bit more full coverage on my face is that I actually mix one pump of my primer with one pump of foundation, and what I do is I just like mix it on my arm and then I just apply that with my finger on my face, and then I blend it in with my hands on my face, and it kind of gives like a tinted moisturizer look. And then I do everything on my face the exact same way, where I just use bronzer, blush, sometimes a little bit of highlight if not, and I'd keep my makeup routine almost the same and as simple as possible. But that is something that I would say is a good trick to do if you don't want to apply like a full face of foundation on your face, especially in the morning. I do find that makeup doesn't last as well if you put it on first thing in the morning and you're doing something like that evening. It just doesn't look as nice. So I will say something that I've noticed that looks nicer is if I mix it in with a primer, because it looks a bit more natural on my skin and it does give me a little bit more coverage. And what I usually do is, if I have like a sheer coverage all over my face and if I have certain areas like where my scarring is, I'll apply a little bit more on those areas and I'll just tap on those places to make sure that I do have more coverage on those places. But yeah, let's just carry on and finish off the whole face. So I'm going to be doing mascara now. I usually don't do this on camera, but I'm doing it today, and I'm using the Essence Lash Princess mascara. I do think that doing mascara is one of like the most important steps in doing your makeup, especially if you're not using lashes every day, which I think most people don't. I think that using like a really good mascara that opens your eyes up is what makes like your everyday makeup look really, really nice. So I really like this one from Essence. It's the green one. I don't know which one it is. I think it's a volumizing one, but I think this makes my lashes look really big and long, and it actually really opens up my eyes quite a bit. So I really, really enjoy this mascara in particular. This one is a bit dry, but I'll show you the difference between my two eyes after I'm done with this one. Okay, so this is the difference between my eye with mascara and this is the one without. You can see that this half of my face looks much more awake, much more alive, and this is why I say like mascara makes a really, really big difference, because I honestly feel like, okay, I'm ready to like go and be presentable at work, and this eye is the like, I'm tired and I just woke up like 5 minutes ago. So I'm just gonna apply the other eye of mascara off camera. So mascara is done, and now we're just gonna be doing the lips. I will say for my lips, I usually just try to keep it simple and neutral, and that's just because I just prefer doing that, because I know I'm going to be eating and drinking tea, so I try to just keep it something that's easy and wearable. And for this, I'm gonna be using the Colourpop lipstick in the shade 27. This is definitely one of my favorite lipsticks. I just find this formula also really comfortable. I do prefer wearing like a comfortable lipstick for work. So the lips obviously just depend on whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you prefer. And for me, it's just like a lipstick. Some people prefer liquid lipstick, some people prefer glosses. But I will say with like a basic makeup look like this, you can use any lip with it, because it's just like a standard set makeup look. And if you are going to change it up, then you can change your blush and you can change the shadow if you want. But I think as a base, it's just quite an easy foundation to like change your lip up. That is it. I really hope you like this video. I know it wasn't a long one, or there wasn't a lot going on, but I know that I get a lot of questions about my everyday makeup routine and like what makeup I'm using in certain pictures that I post on Instagram, and I'm like, it's really not a lot. Like, I really don't do that much. I actually usually leave it like this, but I feel like if my face is a bit dry, then I will add like a refresher mist just to the end of my makeup. If I'm feeling like I'm looking a bit cakey or I want my makeup to last a bit longer, then I'll add like a refreshing mist or a setting spray at the end of my makeup. But usually I actually just leave it like this, and then my makeup kind of sets into my face as I go along in the day. That is basically it. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.